Welcome to Hassle-Free RE, the show where we share tips, tricks, and stories from the short-term rental industry and business alike. Hosted by Dave Menapace and Will Van Wickler. They'll help you navigate the exciting and ever-evolving world of short-term rentals. Whether you're a seasoned host or just starting out, they've got something just for you. In each episode, they'll bring you insider insights, expert advice, and real-life stories from hosts and industry professionals who have been through it all. They'll cover everything from maximizing your rental income and profits to creating unforgettable guest experiences and handling unexpected day-to-day challenges with ease. Are you ready to discover the secrets to running a successful short-term rental business without the hassle? Then let's get started. This is Hassle-Free RE.
Hey Dave, how's it going?
Oh, we talked over each other. My bad, my friend. I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing, Will?
I'm doing well, man. Good to see you on here.
Yeah. Another Thursday, another topic, more education. Gotta love it.
Absolutely.
So why don't you tell the people what we're going to dive into today? We have a fun one. Fun one for folks.
It's a little different. One of the first pieces of content we did together was a market deep dive on Newry and Bethel. And people still go back and watch it to this day and give us awesome feedback. So we thought, why don't we do a live market deep dive on our new podcast that we're doing every single week? So this week, we're going to be jumping into Old Orchard Beach, which is a beach market in Maine.
I love it. And this can be fun. Might be a little longer than some of our others, who knows? But the idea is that, investors, co-hosts, what have you, can leverage this information to make decisions to buy profitable real estate. So we're going to go in deep. We'll give you a little bit about the history of this market. We'll talk about different rental trends, what's working, what's not working. If we have time, we're going to actually pick up some of the top properties, pull them up on the screen, and do some deep dives on those, understand what makes them so popular and how you can use what they've already figured out to enhance your own rentals in this market.
Without further ado, let's dive in.
Boom.
So Old Orchard Beach, one of the oldest vacation rental markets in the country. So this is kind of a funny thing in our world, Dave. I think everybody's looking for these like quote unquote emerging markets, right? Which Kenny Bedwell talks has a lot to do with listing count, right? But when I think emerging, I always think, it's new or there's some new exciting place or new parks going in. What's cool about pretty much most of the markets you and I are in is they've been around for a long time. Old Orchard Beach has been a rental market since the 1800s, which is just insane to think about. So when people think, they ask about regulation or finding cleaners, it's like, guys, they've been doing this for a while, right? So it's super, super old and it's an existing market, but it's technically emerging.
Yeah. And, let's talk about the location, right? So it's located right on the coast of Maine, but it's not as far up as Bar Harbor, right? It's a bit further south, roughly about 2 hours, 15 minutes from Boston, maybe 2.5 hours, but you're shooting right up 95. It's really, really accessible. It's really, really accessible. And what you'll end up finding is the folks that come to vacation here, oh, look at that, an hour and 40 minutes away. And that might even be with some traffic. So it might be a little bit less than that. So it's very, very accessible. So you have guests that are coming from Boston, New York, all over Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, Connecticut. Super, super fantastic driving destination type of market.
And what's really interesting that if you've never been, you'd pick up on is, we have a lot of local traffic that comes here, but there is so much Canadian traffic that comes to Old Orchard Beach. It's insane. You will see Canadian flags up at these hotels. I mean, it's a whole thing because think about it. It's the closest beach destination and it's a drive-in market. So even when, the pandemic was at its high and you couldn't fly, people are still driving in, which I really like investing in these drive-in markets. So I think the location is what makes this market so unique. is you don't have to jump on a plane and get there. And people have been coming here for a long time. So we see a lot of repeat guests, which I always say it's easier to acquire, an existing customer than a new customer.
Totally. Totally. And like you said, people come here for generations. They love renting the same homes or in the same neighborhood. There's community in that. And it's really, really fantastic. And we'll talk about some of the other nuances to beach markets in general that can make them really advantageous depending on the location.
Yeah. And then to kind of put a bow on the overview of the market, it's affordable to invest in and yields high returns. And when I say affordable, right? So it has seen a ramp up in pricing, but you can still get really great properties for under $1 million, right?
Totally.
Where in these other popular beach markets, good luck. And then the other factor to it that I'll say is there's no crazy insurance requirements in Old Orchard Beach. Now, there's going to be some zones where you might need some flood insurance, but it's not like, the condos that we see maybe in Gulf Shores, I'll throw it out there, that have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in flood insurance, and they're not even on the ocean. It's like crazy. It blows my mind. So it's affordable to get into. There's value add opportunity in every price point. And then there's not a ton of crazy expenses, which we're going to dive into on the management side, and Dave's going to talk about. And then it's really not recognized on a national level until really recently, where I knew about it, you knew about it, our clients knew about it, but then Kenny dropped it in a report out of nowhere. I'm like, oh my God, I guess we're doing this thing for real, guys. So it's not been a well-known market, and it's still under 500 active listings, which is Kenny Bedwell's emerging market status, which is cool.
I love it. I love it. And to your point, like on the price point, some of the best properties I've seen, right in that 5 to 850,000, like right sort of in that pocket. And so while that won't hold true for everything, right, I've still seen some really fantastic tier 2 properties, meaning they're back off the beach a little bit, 4 to 5 bedroom in that 800 range, which honestly, because the regulations are pretty soft in this market, you're able to expand on your occupancy and do some fantastic things to really help push the revenue.
100%. And, honestly, we'll jump into it, but that is the sector I would be investing in myself if I was actively purchasing in this market, which I'm always looking for the deals, but I don't compete with my clients. But those tier 2 properties are how you win, in my opinion, and how you can get in with a really good return. So just a brief overview, just to back up what Dave and I were talking about. Under 500 active listings. This is taken from STR Insights. Average valuation of $400,000. Average revenue of $55,000. Occupancy 60%. ADR of 260. And the average return on investment of 13%. What I'll say is not incorporated in this data is the opportunity for midterm rentals. Shout out to our man Ruben, which I've been learning a lot about, is an opportunity in the winter to get midterm rentals at a really high rate. Because of where this market is located, you're close to Portland, Maine. You're close to Scarborough. There's hospitals around here. And there's a housing shortage, right? I have clients in the residential business that are building houses, right? In the winter, they need a place to go. A lot of times you can find a midterm rental and you're paying a premium in these markets, and that's not taken into account in this data. And we're still seeing really strong returns just on a short-term rental perspective.
Totally. And what I'll say is this is general data. So we're going to end up getting deeper into certain components of this data that may then appear to be outliers, but they're not. It's focus on the data. So when I see this, what you'll find is there are a handful of 1 and 2 bedroom condo type properties in this market, a bunch of them, a few hundred of them actually. Those are going to be your properties that are really pulling this average valuation down into that sort of 250 to 400 range. And generally speaking, those are the properties that are going to do 30 to 50K in revenue. Some of what we're going to focus on is how to beat that, right? How to get more than that, how to get closer to 70 to 100K in revenue. What would that price point be? And how could you make that type of property come to life? But so these are just sort of some general numbers to speak to the health of the market.
And that's a great point too, right? And we don't really see a lot of investors buying those units. It's a lot of these lifestyle investors. Maybe they've owned it for a while or they just don't care. And then also those are the units that are probably the worst, right? But they have no money into them. They're not providing sheets. They're not our competition, right? You can't really design and amenitize a condo unless it's, you have some more room to play. So from a market perspective, yeah, 100%. That 13% return is highly skewed based on those units. And we see that in like the Sunday River market, some of the like Killington, other ski markets where you have those condos where it's really hard to design a condo well. You've got a great condo in your co-host portfolio, but I'd say that's an anomaly.
Yeah, so. Totally. Yeah, we have a couple, one at Sunday River, one up at Sugarloaf. The Sugarloaf condo costs $1.5 million. So it's definitely a luxury tier type of property. So a nuance there. And that even still is more of a lifestyle asset for those owners. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, should we jump into some of the data?
Let's do it. I'm going to share my screen and we can jump onto STR Insights and dive right in.
I love it.
All right, so here we are. What I think is really interesting and why we like using STR Insights is we can see full-time listings and then go by bedroom count. So from your perspective, Dave, on a management perspective, when people ask you, how do you win in these beach markets and what are the nuances in beach markets as a whole from a management perspective that they need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think regardless of if you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 bedroom home, I rarely see more than 5 bedrooms, but it does happen. Of the things you can control, that's what you want to master. So what does that mean? This is not going to sound new to anybody. Nice, thoughtful design that's updated. Things that aren't broken. Not using IKEA furniture, right? Having smart TVs so folks can log into their streaming services. Having sheets, towels, not just bath towels, because you don't want people bringing those to the beach, but also beach towels. And if it happens to be a home where you have some additional storage, giving something like a wagon with boogie boards and some toys for the beach and things like that in beach chairs, massive value add. You do that in a market like this, right? You're already going to be ahead of the competition. I do find in these markets that have been vacation markets for several hundred years, Cape Cod similar, for a very, very, very long time, there was a certain way of doing things. And that was not providing sheets, not really having an appealing place. It was literally more like a bed to crash on. And you're just hoping it doesn't have bed bugs. Bringing the hotel style feel into your home and providing that to a guest automatically is going to make you a winner. So regardless of the type of home you have, think about those things. As you start to get into the single family homes, or I should say, if you have a condo, what makes one condo different from the other? Well, if it's a condo and it has views of the ocean, it's going to do better. It's automatically going to do better because people are going to want to sit by that window or sit by that porch on the porch. They're going to want to enjoy coffee or a glass of wine. The sunrise, because it's on the East Coast, the sunrise over Old Orchard Beach is amazing. It's absolutely stunning. So letting people experience that is going to be huge. And if you do have views, you got to do a lot of marketing around that, right? That should be your first few photos. All are showing that. So that's going to differentiate like one condo or townhouse from another. Once we get to the single family homes, then you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of what other amenities you can add. Something almost no houses have in this market, and it's the same in Cape Cod. My houses that are winning, the like really kicking butt, have hot tubs. It's starting you used to never need it or even think about it in a beach market, but hot tubs, outdoor showers, and fire pits and hammocks. Those 4 things, people have an outdoor space, and the hot tub is, and a grill, absolutely a grill. Adding those amenities are going to keep people there for longer, and the hot tub is actually going to pull some pretty good occupancy in those shoulder seasons, which can really go until mid-November because there's still weddings and such around there. And it can start as early as mid-April. And like you have those, people are like, I want to get away. I want to go to somewhere that has a water view. I want to have a hot tub. I want to have all these things. You just get the opportunity to charge a lot more money and then get to enjoy a higher occupancy rate.
Right. And what's unique about this market is the bar is so low where nobody's doing amenities yet, where it's like in Cape Cod,
Right.
you've got to have the Git grill. You've got to have the fire
Right.
pit. Your listing is a great example. You've got the hammock. Old Orchard Beach, it's like people aren't thinking that way yet. So by getting a hot tub, it's like, okay, you have something nobody else has. Oh, you've got a fire pit too. It's just clicking the criteria on Airbnb. And to your example, you know, the shoulder season, I'm in my office right now. We have a mega agent office in Scarborough, Maine. We've got a 1-bedroom Airbnb to the left of me, a separate unit. The Pine Point Escape, right? It's nothing fancy, but it cranks in the winter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. We're close to Old Orchard Beach, about 10 minutes away. It's not because of the beach. They're not going to the beach in April or December, right? But it's close to other traffic drivers. And people don't always like staying in a hotel. They'd rather have their own place. So if you had a hot tub, why wouldn't somebody stay there, right? And then the other thing is, because it's a beach market, in my opinion, you don't need to spend the money like you would in a mountain market where you need a insane fire pit setup or a top of the line hot tub. You know, a cheaper hot tub might do, right? You're in a beach market, it's not being used as much. And then the other thing to remember is offsetting expenses. You don't really have a ton of shoveling, plowing, sanding expenses like you would in a mountain market. So your expense rate is going to be lower by default, and the amenities are just going to bring you over the top and probably give you an instant return year one.
Totally. So in terms of location within Old Orchard Beach, what would, in your opinion, Will, be sort of the hot spot in terms of home values for somebody to key in and look at?
Right. So that's a great question. And when we look at the map, right, everybody is always focused on this area right here, which is the ocean front, right? So this is awesome. This is where the pier is. What you're going to find being oceanfront is obviously higher values. And then you're also going to find some of those condos, right? The places that I actually like to focus on are these areas right around here, where you can still walk to the beach, but you can actually obtain single family homes under $500,000 and have a space for a part of pork, right? Or a yard. I actually sold a house right over here on Evergreen Ave, and it was a 6.5-minute walk to the beach, right? I timed it. This is an awesome area, and you can see what's cool is not a lot of them are showing up on STR Insights, which means they're not listed for more than 200 days, or they're not listed at all. So a lot of these homes are through a property manager where you literally have to pick up the keys, or they're just renting a couple weeks out of the year, which is really awesome because they're not really competition. These other neighborhoods are really great to look at. If you want to be, you know, I say it's the tier 2 to 3 property, you want to be within I'd say up to 15-minute walk to the beach. People walk in this market. It's not like the mountains where you're in the car and driving. Yes, that can occur, but we really want walkability. And remember, people are willing to walk further if they can actually walk, right? It doesn't have to be a 2, 3, 5-minute walk. What do you see on Cape Cod for people's tolerance for walking to the beach? I'm curious.
Yeah, usually it's 15 minutes or less. The big thing is they generally don't want to have to cross over a really, really busy road. Now, they don't mind doing that if they don't have kids. But generally speaking in Cape Cod, and I think a lot in this market too, folks are going there with their family. So now if you have a really nice spot and it's say 1 or 2 bedroom and it's more of a couple's getaway, I don't think they mind being as far away from the beach. But I'll also say at that point, they also don't mind spending a little bit more money and getting closer. So usually 10 to 15 minutes, but you don't want to have to cross over a bunch of main streets to get there.
Right.
Another little pocket, and this wasn't the point of, I'm going to throw a curveball, but I think it's appropriate. Ocean Park is a sneaky good market as well, right below them. Not a lot of people know about it, But the reality is you can walk from the beach in Ocean Park up to Old Orchard, and it's actually a little bit quieter in Ocean
Yeah,
Park.
it
Now
is.
you can't walk to the restaurants that are in Old Orchard, but it's 1 mile drive, literally, or like 2 mile drive from Ocean Park up. And then there are some really great little restaurants and coffee shops and ice cream places right in Ocean Park itself. So I almost think of Ocean Park as an extension of Old Orchard Beach. It's really cool. It's really quiet over there. It's super cool. It's like the beach is dog friendly. I think before 9 or 10 a.m.
Yep.
It's really fun to walk out there and see all that stuff. I've been there a few times, so
That's sneaky. And, I'd absolutely consider a submarket. It's
yeah,
not as concentrated as Old Orchard Beach, but there's a lot of rentals,
right,
and we've definitely sold property over there. We were over there a couple of weeks ago checking something out.
yeah,
And what's cool is it's just an extension, like you said. So even Ferry Beach and Camp Ellis, which we'll dive into at some point, they're all connected in this strip of Route 9. And, you have some in Saco and then some in the town of Old Orchard Beach, but it's really just an extension of the Old Orchard Beach market and a submarket. And what's cool, kind of talking, local perspective, is it's incredibly walkable just because of the age of the town and the infrastructure. These town, like for instance, Evergreen Ave, I remember that's a one-way street, right? And it's narrow. You're not getting all this traffic because it's such a walking destination. And the speed limit on West Grand Ave, you're not getting anywhere fast at all in the summertime. And locals know, don't drive down there. So it's super, super walkable, and it's super kid friendly. You can literally, Saco Ave is more of a commuter road right here, but you cut through and you can go down here. There's a local park where they do summer concerts, stuff like that. So it's just a really cool family friendly place. And people have a lot of fond memories here. The other cool thing is there is a golf course over here, Dunegrass Country Club. I just sold a house in there. That was super cool. There's some short-term rentals in there for sure. More luxury status, but there's just a lot to do. And if you look at the map, proximity to 95, like Dave mentioned, getting here is super, super easy. And it's an easy commute to Portland, which is Maine's largest city. So for midterm rentals or just flying in, it's really, really easy to get to.
totally, totally. And with that, you may find that folks use this area, this market, as sort of a central hub as they go and explore Maine.
Mhm.
Mainly because Portland does have a lot of regulations around short-term rentals, so it's easy to rent a unit off a multifamily in Portland, Maine. But if you have a larger family, because of how regulations are structured, you're really going to have to come out to Scarborough or Old Orchard Beach area if you want to get a place that can sleep 10 to 14 people and then use that as a home base, right? So if you do a day in Portland, or maybe you go out and explore Sunday River and Newry and Bethel for a day, or you drive out to Mount Washington, or you hit a bunch of different breweries, or you go down to Kennebunkport or Ogunquit, something like that. All of that can be done right from Old Orchard. So it's just fantastic. I mean, it really, really is. And I think that it's getting harder and harder to find properties that can near that 100K a year mark that cost less than a million. And I think that this market has nailed that. Like it really, really has. So
Year after year, I think, yes, there's a
yeah,
lot of these markets that, hey, the first year, yeah, you make 150 and then you make 70 the next year, right? Like we see a lot of those hype markets. These East Coast markets, it's like Groundhog Day. It's over and over and over. And
yeah.
you're going to have, steady growth, but you're not going to have these peaks and valleys like these other markets in the country are experiencing. So with all that, what do you think that we dive into a couple bedroom counts and check out some of the top producing properties?
Yeah, and real quick before you do that, I didn't know, if it's not too difficult, maybe if you could hop on Google. I think it would be neat to just show people what the pier even is and what's in that area. I don't know if that's easy enough on Google Images or something like that, but
Yeah.
the pier is a destination. It's not just like a walking pier. There's tons of activities. It's almost like a mini carnival. There's all sorts of stuff happening over there. It's
There's
really,
a
really neat.
local restaurant right here, but this kind of gives you a good example of the stuff you can expect. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
I think they
live
have the
entertainment
Ferris wheel
down here. Exactly. So the pier is down here. This is a main attraction, and people are going to walk here. They're going to play carnival games here. They're going to hang out here, all different ages. You have bars, restaurants, all that good stuff. And it's easy to get to. And this is what a lot of people are walking to for their nightlife and entertainment.
Totally. Yeah. And it's honestly, it's good for kids and adults. It really is.
100%. Yeah. Big kids.
Big kids. So yeah, why don't we crank the thing up to 80 there? Yeah, the percentile up to 80. And I'd be interested. I like to look at usually the 3, 4, and 5 bedroom counts and just see what is popping up for ROI and what some of the top performing properties are.
Right. So let's take a look at this one right here. This is a 3-bed, 1-bath. Looks like 88% occupancy at a 400 ADR, 4.88 rating. And, not going to put anybody on blast, but, a couple things that I see right away is, we see a static title. We see not 5 stars, and we see cell phone photos, right? So this is a very classic example of what you can expect in this market. And this is a pretty easy property to beat, right? You've got no interior design. You've got no photos really of amenities or anything like that. And it's still producing great revenues, right?
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. That's always great. That's a nice
TV too. That's not very smart. Yeah.
Facing the wall. So that was a 3-bedroom. Let's take a look at, I'd love to see like a top producing 4-bedroom. This is where it starts to get few and far between because there's not a whole lot. And that just goes back to lack of competition. So,
and I'll say the 3-bed was in that neighborhood we spoke about, right? And it wasn't even on the water. That's a mid $400,000 property. And I love value add. I know you love doing the BRRRR strategy, and I do too. That's how we both got into this. That's a great property to BRRRR right there.
Yeah.
So you've got a 4-bed, 2-bath right here with 93% occupancy from dates available, much higher ADR. So we'll check this one out here. And it looks like, this one's a little bit more professional here. But again, still static title, professional photography on this one. But, no crazy design. Very simple.
I'll tell you, I get so turned off when the lights are not turned on in the photos and they're dark like this.
Me too. It's
the worst. It's the worst.
Other things staging. I noticed here is like no staging, no throw blankets, no pillows, not to be too critical, but like Walmart furniture. Just doesn't really feel beachy or inviting at all. Very dark.
A big amenity that people should really consider and think about is mini splits and central AC. I know it's not sexy, but at the end of the day, A, it's more energy efficient, so it's going to save you money. But B, the window air conditioners, what I've come to learn is that a lot of people that pay to go on vacations and pay higher dollar amounts for that, they have central AC or mini splits in their primary residence. If they're going on vacation somewhere and it doesn't have that, they're disappointed or they're just not interested in renting it. While yes, the cost can range anywhere from, depending on your house, 10 to 30K for that type of amenity. It's amazing how quickly you can make that back, not to mention the energy savings off of it as well. So it's something to consider, folks, because it's generally now considered to be one of the top searched for amenities in pretty much every market I look at in New England. And to figure that out, all you have to do is go into Price Labs and download the market dashboard for a given market, and it'll tell you the top amenities for a given market, what guests are searching for. So
Right. And if you buy in this market, I have awesome connections to get heat pumps installed. And Efficiency
Yeah.
Maine has insane rebates right now where they're actually, I just heard from a builder client of mine, they're doing 80% rebate on a one head mini split system right now. So they're
Really?
great incentives, and it's way less than people think, where you can usually get a couple head mini split system installed for 10 to 12 grand before rebates, and you're going to save that money from having a handyman put these units in and out, and you're going to make more money. And this house is another great example that I pulled up. And if you're listening to this podcast, check it out on YouTube because we're sharing the screen. But another really good example of a very plain Jane house that did, over $143,000 last year in revenue with cell phone photos.
Now, I would say one of the reasons it was able to do that is because it's sleeping 12 people. Most houses in this market are like 8 people or less. So multiple families can go in and rent this home.
100%.
Let's see if there's any fives.
Let's get some fives. So
we got
not a lot. What we could do too is we'll toggle the, down here.
Percentile.
Exactly. So this
I want to see that one.
252. Let's see. So we got a really nice beach.
This is a nice one. This is a good one.
Oh, but those are the cell phone photos here.
No, it's so disappointing. At least they have captions, even though their grammar's off. But I will say, how much do you think this house costs if they're a seller?
It's going to be in the upper million bracket. But again,
maybe $1.5 million.
Yeah, I'd say 1.5 to 1.7. But it's totally turnkey. It's absolutely like stunning. And they did 250,000 with, this being the 5th photo, and a static title.
Which for those not
and do 300.
For those listening to this on the podcast, the photo that Will has up is a diagonal photo of a living room and kitchen. So, and this home does not have a hot tub either. I think you put a hot tub in, you properly display amenities for the beach. I mean, it's a gorgeous home, but it's very unorganized. There's no professional photos. There's no staging in the home. This is a house that if it's doing 250 like this, I could say in full confidence that if you know what you're doing, like that's really low grade linens and things like that. There's no reason this shouldn't be a $300,000 to $350,000 home. And then even if you're paying $2 million for a home like this, that's a pretty good ROI. That's probably getting you right in that 15 to 18% cash on cash return, quite frankly.
Right. And thank you for describing, because we're looking at 2 queens in a room with like Walmart comforters and some brown pillows, right? Like, doesn't feel very coastal or inviting. And that's, 53% occupancy too. So they have some room to really play with, probably some midweek dates or more off-season time. That shows you this market and the potential. And here's another one, right? We have a very old property here, 88% occupancy. It did 150,000 last year, $615 ADR, and it's not oceanfront, right? So they've kind of got some cool design going on here, some bean bags, cool kitchen, but we're dealing with cell phone photos with some sort of like Instagram type filter, taken horizontally, which is pretty funny. They've got some heat pumps and stuff like that, but I want to see the location. Maybe a little peak of the water, but nowhere really near the water. So definitely tier 2, like you said earlier.
Right. This is doing so well because it has 6 bedrooms and sleeps about 20 people. And that's cool. Like if that's going to be the angle, right? That's going to be the strategy, then do it. And they're definitely doing it. So I think it's pretty cool to see that they're hitting some pretty good revenues on a home like this. It's an old Victorian type home. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. So really, like in summary, I think that this market has so much potential for people that they know what the heck they're doing, right? They follow the strategies and they have an eye for design. And I think the biggest opportunity in this market is finding those kind of cusp neighborhoods with maybe some of these older houses that might have existing rentals on the books, right? They always push that in these markets, strong rental history. Throw that out the window, use what you know from other markets and just jump right in. And I think on the acquisition side, you'll talk to the management side, there's no bad time to buy, right? You can't always time it up where you're going to hit the summer season. The truth is, just make sure you have strong reserves, make sure it's in the right location, and I can help you identify that. And then also understand the neighborhood situation, how close are you to neighbors, things like that. We're used to that here, but just make sure it's the right situation on the acquisition side.
Totally. Well, this is good. I think this wraps up our Old Orchard deep dive. For folks that are listening, just to let you know, we're going to be starting to pluck out more and more markets across New England, from Cape Cod all the way up through Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and getting in there, giving you some information so you can make more informed investment decisions. Or if you're growing your co-hosting business, maybe it gives you some ideas on areas to key in on, right? To focus in on, to grab co-host clients and understand what your competition is. Quick announcement. We didn't plan this before, but we've been talking about this for some time. At some point, probably towards the end of June, Will and I are going to be working to put on a little workshop for folks. We want to go through how to properly buy, manage, and most importantly, sell a short-term rental. There's nuances to all three of those things. I think we key in a lot on the buying and the management side, being the one that usually cleans up the mess from a transition when somebody's looking to sell, or I'm on the buyer side, and it's a lot more than just saying good rental history. So we want to bring that education to folks, because money is made when money is moved, right? And so if part of your strategy is buying, doing some management, and then eventually selling it, do it right from the beginning. And that way you can essentially maximize your back end revenue when you go to sell that thing. So we'll be working to put that together over the next month or so. We'll be coming out with some dates for folks so they can sign up.
Super exciting stuff. And I can't wait to keep doing more of these. This is a lot of fun for me. And I know, hopefully, well, I don't know, but hopefully some people enjoy it too and learn a lot. We know we got good feedback on the last one, and we'll keep pumping these out every single week. So if somebody wants to invest in real estate, maybe they want to do it themselves on the management side, or maybe they just want to say, Dave, take the wheel and do it for me. Right. How do they reach you?
Yeah, so we just came out with this. It's just DaveMenapace.com. So I know folks have heard a few different websites getting floated around, but we have 5-star co-hosts for luxury property management. We have Launchpad Consulting for folks that need to get everything built out for them and then learn how to self-manage. And then Menapace Real Estate right now for helping you buy short-term rentals, specifically just in the Cape Cod vacation rental markets is what we do there. But just head on over to DaveMenapace.com. You can actually get a time right on my calendar from there. You can reach out to me, send me an email. Would love to connect and see how we can help. And Mr. Will, people want to buy some short-term rentals. How do they do it? How do they find you?
Yeah, willvanwickler.com. Set up a time. We can talk about a ton of different markets. And if you want me to connect you with Dave, I can do that for you too. So willvanwickler.com, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. We're happy to help out.
I love it. So essentially, if you can remember our names, you can find us. There's no excuse not to now.
And spell them. That's the trick, right? But yeah, we'll catch you next week.
I love it. I love it, my friend. Great chatting with you, and happy hosting, everyone.
See ya.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Hassle-Free RE. We hope you found today's tips and stories as inspiring and useful as I did. Remember, success in the short-term rental industry is all about learning, adapting, and staying one step ahead. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review or comment on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Plus, we'd love to hear your thoughts and any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And follow us at Hassle-Free RE on social media for more tips and updates. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Keep it hassle-free.